for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENOM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's up guys, Venom Fire here, back with the video, and today me bringing you guys another mini scheme. This one's pretty balanced. It's good in the run game, it's good in the pass game. We're going to be in the spread offensive playbook, so it's going to be a unique formation. But if you combine it with some of the other formations I've talked about, the spread playbook is actually pretty solid. Usually when you run it, you want to be switching from formation to formation anyways. What we're actually going to be running is going to be this gun trio offset week. I have talked about the trio offset. We're going to run trio offset week because we have a lot of unique plays that are very solid in my opinion. We're going to talk about those. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys do drop a like as well as hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the channel. But going back to it, we have a lot of solid plays here. We have read option, we have an RPO, we have verticals, middle slant, curl flat, flood. So we have a lot of unique routes. We're not really going to be using too many abilities. Here's a look at your audibles. You want curl flat, RPO, read bubble, verticals, and PA flood. And then also something you notice I did is I have gone to the 4 wide receiver package there on the bottom left corner. Pretty much what that does is it allows me to get a receiver here at the tight end slot. In Ultimate Team, this can be especially good because you can get a lot more agility there. Get like a Tyreek Hill there in regs if you wanted, depending on the team you're using. And of course, if you really wanted to, you could put a tight end at this wide receiver spot anyways. But yeah, let's go ahead and get straight into it. I might also talk about the read option a little, so that's what I'm going to actually start out in. But yeah, we'll see you on the field. Here we are out on the field. Like I said, I want to start out with this read option because the read option can actually be pretty solid. Better than a traditional trips tight end. The reason that's going to be a little bit better is because you're actually going to be with the quarterback running to the trip side if you keep it. So I'm just going to run it like this. You see I keep it, and now I can run to the trip side. I should have better blocking. I should have a better lane to the outside than I would typically if I were to run out here because there's a cornerback right there. And you pretty much instantly have to make a guy miss. So here's that read option again. You see with some good stick work, you can cut it in. Now Daniel Jones is a pretty good quarterback for this. He's one of the more faster quarterbacks in the game, although he doesn't have all that much elusiveness and juking, but you see how you can really get busy with a guy like Daniel Jones, even if you don't have the most fast of quarterbacks. Guys like Alex Smith, Rodgers, this could even work with. As far as regs, there's of course some other good mobile quarterbacks, but Ultimate Team, really most QBs should be able to run the read option. Of course, you can definitely confuse your opponent using some motion, so I can kind of motion this guy out. That's going to move the linebacker in a little bit, but it's also going to focus his user over there, and you see how we just get a really big hole over there. Pause, but we do just pretty much create more space. So, of course, I can motion either of these guys. I can motion Shepard. I can motion Tate. When I motion Tate, I'm in the wrong play here, I think, but this is the RPO, which we're actually going to talk about next, but yeah, you can use some motion. I always like to use motion out of things like read options just to confuse not only the opponent, think we're passing, but it's also going to allow us, if we do hand the ball off, to get more space on that right hand side. Of course, they're going to pretty much be playing the run every time, but you see right there, you would have a lane, especially if that guy's going to keep, which if you hit him with the read option a couple of times, he's probably going to start staying there. So overall, you can have success with it. You can also like motion somebody in, kind of motion snap him. I think so. Well, I'm actually going to try that. Let's see if we can kind of motion this guy in, motion snap him. I feel like it could snap him right there. He didn't really block the guy that I wanted him to, but maybe if you get that down or ID him, something like that, you could make it work. Anyways, let's move into our next run, which is the RPO read, or what's it called? RPO read bubble, yeah. This is a pretty solid RPO. You see, even with the linebackers kind of playing it, it's going to be difficult for him to get out there. Overall, I do recommend throwing this bubble a little bit more when you're on this side with your trips tight end or your trips, just because you're going to get a faster throwing animation with a right-handed quarterback. Of course, I can keep, and I think there's even a threat to take off with Daniel Jones. I'm going to try it here. I'm not sure if it's this particular RPO where I can actually do that, but sometimes you would be able to take off with Daniel Jones. That time, actually, both the linebacker and the DN played it. So in that spot, I have to throw the ball, but you can see how there's 3 scenarios. The first scenario is the DN's going to stop. He's going to play the quarterback, per se. That's when you hand it off. If you see the the DN chase, but the linebacker goes out with the wide receiver, that's when I would take off with Daniel Jones. And if I see them both go after, that's when I would throw the RPO. Of course, only if the linebacker's following in, then I could always throw the RPO as well. Here, he's going to follow, and this would be a situation where I can take off Daniel Jones, and it's pretty similar to a read option. So that's why I have this play in my audibles rather than read option, is because it almost is a built-in read option. You just have a throwing potential. There you see the linebacker. He kind of played the quarterback, so we just threw it to Shepard, and we have a big gain right there. Of course, you can hand it off to Saquon Barkley, pretty much any of these, and pick up some decent yardage now. They're playing Daniel Jones every time. Most people online put that option defense on conservative, so that's you're more likely to probably hand it off, but you see how you can get busy with a guy like Danny Dimes in the open field right there. But anyways, let's move into the passing game. Again, it's a pretty balanced formation, and when you consider the fact that you're probably going to be audibling around, gun trio, offset, it gives you a threat to kind of do this. Now, if you do have 4 wide receivers on the field, you can't really audible as much. That's why usually what I'll do is I'll throw a tight end on the outside here or somewhere. Again, a guy like Darren Waller or Vernon Davis or a Kittle out there is not going to make you worse. Those guys are actually really good, but that would be the reason to do that. Let's hop into curl flat. Now, curl flat's a pretty solid play. Just going to start out with a simple route combination. All I'm going to do really is I'm just going to put A on an out route, and then I could smart route B. So this is going to be our first route combination. Pretty basic. Overall, it's a solid route combo. You basically have a crosser, you have a little out route, and then you have your curl flat on that left-hand side. Now, not as good as the trips tight end one. You don't really have a running back threat. And again, this trips tight end weak because the running back's on that opposite side, but just for a little quick snap starter setup, it is not terrible. You see I can step up, check it down to Y, gives me a couple of high-low reads, and overall gives me some options. Hopping into our next setup, what I'm going to do now is instead of putting him in an out route, I'm just going to streak B like this, and this would be an option. This is going to pretty much create a threat to throw this crosser on the run, or rather you roll out and set your feet. So it does give us some nice versatility there. Of course, with the running back, we don't have to block him every time. We can do some stuff with him. The first thing I would probably do is put him on like a little option route. Now, if I really wanted to, I could motion him over. I could put him on a flat here, or I could just put him on the option over here. That does kind of tell that you're passing the ball, so that's something that you usually will want to stay away from, using that motion with the running back. But it is certainly an option that you can do in a very pass-heavy situation. So I'll show that one more time. Again, I'll just option RB, smart route B, and streak A here. Of course, that should open up the flats as Danny Dimes sails that one, but that should open up different things. The zones are going to get pulled down by the option. Gives you some nice versatility there. Hopping into our next setup, what we're going to do here is we're going to drag B and smart route A. This is just a solid way to use that corner out with the receiver there. You see how he can get over the top now. Not as easy of a throw against cover 3 because the outside third actually does play it pretty well. I think he actually gets a little bit more open if I don't smart route him, so that could be an option. Usually I do like to smart route him, and that's going to be better against man coverage as well there. So yeah, this would be your first look. Good quick snap setup as well. It's going to create a high-low read. You see how Sterling Shepard should be open in that flat because the corner out is so short and it goes so vertically up the field. As far as some other options to this, what I could do is, honestly, I could kind of run it stock. I could just smart out A and I don't have to smart out B. But there you see they kind of run into each other, so late play broken situations, not my favorite route combo. As far as going back to the drag thing, the smart out A, you could probably do a couple of different things as far as that's concerned. One of my things I like to do just to mix it up is go with something like this, where I'm going to zig Y and put X on a little smart routed in route. This is just going to be a nice little flood concept. It's going to give you some other options. As I was kind of staring down X, the hook curl actually put in pretty well, but that would be some other things, and of course, you could do much more than that. Anyways, let's move into our next play, which is verticals. Verticals is pretty interesting. Mainly, the reason I like it is just one route, and it's going to be Saquon's route, this little under route. So if I run it stock, he's going to beat man coverage. He gets in the flats, and you can kind of go crazy with a guy like Saquon or whoever your running back is in Ultimate Team. Gives you some options. This is a pretty running back heavy scheme. You want to keep your back involved. This is a good way to do so. As far as some of the other route combos that I could create, some things I had my eye on would be a route combo where I curl X, I'm going to drag B, smart route A, and then I'm just going to motion Y over. So I go with something like this. I think this is a pretty good route combo, pretty cool route combo. I could also leave Y where he's at, but and honestly, if I don't like that kind of fading seam route, I could just put him on a streak, or I could, of course, run it like this. So I could just smart route A, drag B, curl X, and call it a day. This would not be a terrible route combo. I'm not the biggest fan of that tight end route, and if I had any other ability, I would put him on a corner route, trust me. He does kind of sit in a bad spot, so as far as other things you could do, I could, of course, flat or slant B, flat A, and then I would probably curl X, and with Y, I could either motion him over on like a streak, I could leave him there, or I could like put him on a fade instead of that seam route, just so we kind of get him out of the way. I would probably motion him all the way outside. Something like this. You see how the slant's open, the flat's open, so that gives us some options, allows us to build around RB. I don't have too many setups. You can't do a whole lot with a play like verticals without Hot Route Master, but of course, if I really wanted to, I could, again, attack the field vertically with Y. Maybe I go with like a curl, and I could, of course, block RB and run something like this maybe. It gives us a curl flat, we have the out route, and then we have some other stuff. So you can do different things that, of course, I'm not talking about, but that would just be a little idea there. Anyways, let's move into our last play, which is going to be flood, PA flood, rather. Now let's focus in on the tight end route. He's on a tight end post, and of course, we're going to cancel the play action here. Now, for starters, what I like to do out of this setup is I just want to show you guys that post route. If you smart route it, he becomes very quick, kind of like the corner route, and you can get him off, or he can beat man coverage pretty quickly. He's going to break out of his route relatively quickly as well. If I don't smart route him, you see how he's going to go a little bit deeper, but he still is in a pretty good spot in the middle of the field. So you can do A against man coverage, and I would probably do B against zone coverage, but of course there's the option to do both. As far as the other things I like to do, I like to create a little wheel to flat combo. So I'm going to wheel RB, I'm going to out X. Then we have some other options. Usually what I'll do is I'll slant B and flat Y. This is probably my favorite route combo, potentially out of the entire offense. This gives us every option. You see we have the post, we have the slant, we have the backside flat, and then of course the wheel route, which I'll throw next probably. Overall, it gives us some good options. And it's pretty difficult to stop, especially when you consider the running threat, the RPO threat. And this is, again, a formation that you're probably not going to be in the entire game. You're going to be mixing around, so he might have to worry about you audibling. You could audible the bunch from this directly. Of course, I don't have to run that wide receiver at tight end. I could keep my tight end there. That's certainly an option, especially this late in the year where every tight end is good, that they're putting out Shannon Sharps of the world, guys like that. But again, here's a look at the route combo. Right now, I'm going to throw the wheel route, and you see how he's going to just get in a pretty good spot, even with the congestion of the curl flat and the hook curl. He just gives us a late check down for Daniel Jones there. You could definitely create some other things with this. One of my ideas was to smart route A, I would zig B, and then I'm just going to motion Tate over on his corner route. We're going to turn it into a post, of course. Slayton is on a post, but he's basically on a slant. I like to motion Tate out as far as I can. And there you see how he's going to run a crosser. Of course, we got hit, but you saw Slayton was open. Late play reads. If he follows A with his user, you throw Y. If he goes back to Y, you can hit A. So it gives us some options. Of course, we had our check down as well in Sterling Shepard. But this is a play you can kind of snap pretty quickly. All you do is block your running back and zig B. And then you just smart out your tight end, which, of course, doesn't necessarily count as a hot route. So you're going to motion him across here. I'm just going to kind of step up, throw it to A across the field, and you see how much space we have. I'll run it one more time, and then we'll hit Y. Of course, that low ball to the zig would be an option as well there. So one last time. And realistically, I could maybe even keep that bubble if I wanted to. Don't really see a reason to do that, but you could. And now you see a good use of the motion. We were using the motion in the run game. Now we use it in the pass game, so you can see how it could be a good decoy to disguise your runs. But overall, it's going to do for the video. If you guys did enjoy, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more, turn on those post notifications to be notified every time I upload. Follow me on Twitter. Link will be down below in the description. And yeah, peace. I'm out of here.